To further add to yesterday's video about my midlife crisis, which has materialized in this car, the day after, I feel just as good. I want to clean it, I want to personalize it somewhat. And I don't know who that was, but I'll pretend I know them anyway. I need to fix the boot. The striker plate's obviously moved because you've got to really slam it. Maybe it's moved, or maybe somebody's tried to adjust it and it's slipped and not done it properly, and so then the more you slam it, the more it moves just a bit more. A thing that really appeals to me about this car is actually its condition, because its condition isn't fabulous. It's just a bit rough around the edges, and that makes this car even better because it can truly feel like mine. I will never be at home or that comfortable with a car that starts off new. Something that's a bit on the tatty side is something I can improve on. Here we are, at work. Oops, gone past it. I always go on about cars that look a bit tatty and how much I prefer them. I think it's reliving that first car experience. My first proper car was a Capri 1.6S. It was tatty, rusty, full of dents, fit for scrap, but I really had a great time in it. Your first car is your first moment of freedom that you simply cannot forget. And I always think it's such a waste to have that moment in something new when something old will actually be more memorable. And it will be more memorable because you'll have the occasion where it might break down a bit, or something might not quite be right, or you dent it, but it doesn't devalue it. You dent it, you scratch it, you stick it in a hedge, it's still kind of the same car. Have you got to have a pretty bad crash in a car like that to notice any difference in it? This car was already pre-dented by a truck driver. And I know because I was in the driver's seat at the time in my first go of this when Boaty first got it. So I experienced the impact and the lack of whiplash claim. But that and the rust on the wings and the flat paint do not detract from the driving experience, so I don't care. In my lanky friend's opinion, the MGF is the best car you can get for the money. Anyway, I'm basically going to take this car home and then walk to work. And today, it's not something that happens very often, I'm going to be responsible for picking the small people up from school, which means that I have to go and get a proper car, not a toy, because there are more than one, there's two of them. But I don't want to leave this at work. I want it to be available for any time. I just want to go out for a blast. And that's why I'm walking to work. Yellow men. Look, the first buds of spring. That's excellent. Sun's not that. The irony of all this is that I want to drive my car so much, I'm prepared to walk instead. What car do you think this piece of wheel arch trim has come off? Spring is either it's here or it's just around the corner, and that is the most wonderfully fabulous feeling in the world, and it makes me full of joy and optimism. Why not have a walk to work? I definitely got that car on the right tee. That tree appears to be looking at me. Toy tractor. A few days ago I mentioned feeling lucky at last. Lucky with the MG ZS that I acquired from James. Lucky that he was very, very kind enough to give it to me. And now I feel lucky about this MGF as well, because not only did the exchange just happen out of the blue, but it happened kind of right at the moment we had a spring day as well, followed by another one. And it just makes me think that maybe finally things are on the up. And so I have arrived at work at 12:10. So time's getting on a little bit, isn't it? I have now only, well, 3 hours. 3 hours to do things. Oh. Question then, can I replicate that feeling of exhilaration one gets whilst driving an MGF in a Rover 45 with all of the windows down? And the answer is no. No, because the windows may be down, but the roof is still on, and it just doesn't have the same driving dynamic. And this is a really good car. The Rover 45 is a well underrated car as well. Who'd have thought it? Me. I just had a moment of full sending with all the windows open, and that's how you get your hair blowing up your nostrils. What a thrill that is. So this rather unusual video of today is coming to an end because I've basically got to have an early off. I've done my first fix on it, which was the boot. This car comes with a big folder of receipts, all put together very professionally by Boaty, on my side. It looks really, really rather nice. I found a receipt for what looked like a catastrophic head gasket failure. So hopefully, I presume that was done properly. Also, the cam belt and water pump, etc., was done 2019, which means that it will be due again next year. I think it's every 6 years, the cam belt on these. Anyway, regardless, that's enough for me to enjoy it for a while. There are a bunch of things for me to fertile with this car. And I will do. One thing in particular is a funny kind of clunky sound underneath, which I think is exhaust related. I think the exhaust might be just battering the underside of the car ever so slightly sometimes, which isn't surprising really, because it's probably had a bit of a clout from time to time being so low down. I was going to take this back to work and give it a wash and a bit of a spruce up, but there simply wasn't time today. But I could do that. So do I have to explain that? I don't, do I? I don't have to explain anything I don't want to do. That'll be the end of this video then, because I can't really see any point in me carrying on with it. It's kind of the video extras from yesterday that didn't happen until today. But because I was so enamoured by this car, I wanted to carry on, but I also wanted the video to make some sense. And I felt like if I just carried on waffling on a bit like what I am doing now, then the video would kind of lose its focus somewhat, and I didn't really want that to happen. Today it doesn't really matter as much because you've seen the video and now you're watching this one instead, and hopefully you won't dislike this one. Right, yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for anybody that's offered up donations or super thanks or super stickers or what have you. They all count. They're all important. I like them all. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. As much as I would love to spend the day just hooning around in it, and that is, I've never had the temptation to just spend the day having a drive as much as I have right now. I'd have to go right back to the start of when I learned to drive to get anywhere close. Well, that is special, isn't it? I mean, do you remember doing that? Having your first car, your second, your third even, and all you wanted to do was just be out in it, driving. And you must do. Some people will do, because they experienced exactly that. Just out and about, driving all the time, into the evenings. They didn't drink beer, they probably didn't take drugs. All they did was just want to drive and meet up with other people that like to drive and sit in car parks and chat with the engines running and the heater on.